Hi, PerspectiveWeather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Thursday, July 23rd. Well, strong to severe thunderstorms raked the I-95 corridor region late yesterday into last night from D.C. to Philadelphia to New York City. Many areas received some heavy rainfall, frequent lightning, and a lot of spots had some damaging wind gusts, especially south of the Mason-Dixon line. There are some heavy showers already scattered around the eastern part of Pennsylvania this morning, moving into New Jersey. And we do have another shot at strong thunderstorms, perhaps even severe thunderstorms later today into early tonight. Perhaps a little bit less likely, however, later today, given the fact that we have some cloud cover right now. Mostly cloudy skies throughout the Mid-Atlantic region as we start the day on Thursday. That will kind of limit daytime heating at least over the next few hours. Now, depending on how much sunshine we get during the midday and early afternoon hours, could become much more unstable by later this afternoon, and it's at that time that a weak cool frontal system will approach the area from the north and west. So again, a chance for strong thunderstorms in the afternoon and early evening, largely dependent on how much sunshine we get during the midday and early afternoon hours. Slightly drier air will move into the Mid-Atlantic region behind this weak frontal system for the Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday time frame. It still remains very warm over the upcoming weekend, but it looks like the rain chances will be quite limited in the Mid-Atlantic region, right along the I-95 corridor region from D.C. to New York City. Let's start off the video discussion by looking at the tropical situation. We've been monitoring two systems, and they're still on the map this morning, and are quite interesting indeed. This is tropical depression number 8. It is moving slowly to the west-northwest. Still has a chance to become a tropical storm before making landfall, possibly on Saturday along the eastern part of Texas. Whether it actually reaches tropical storm status or not, heavy rainfall is certainly on the table for this part of the nation. Eastern Texas all the way into Louisiana from this particular tropical system. It is a slow mover, I think, moving west-northwest this morning at 9 miles per hour only. That enhances the chance for some flooding rainfall, as it could very well rain for an extended period of time. Meanwhile, out in the central Atlantic, we have tropical storm Gonzalo. That is moving due west at the moment and should reach the Caribbean Sea this weekend, right in this region right here. It is flirting with the status of hurricane. Right now, the maximum sustained winds are 65 miles per hour. It won't take much intensification for it to reach hurricane status. That could happen later today into tonight, perhaps. That would be the first hurricane of the Atlantic Basin season. We have had 7 named tropical systems, including this one so far. None of these so far have reached hurricane status. This is a pretty good chance to do that, though. It's really rather close right now with 65 mile per hour maximum sustained winds. It continues to move completely over the open waters of the warm tropical Atlantic. Now, once it gets into the Caribbean Sea, there are some indications that it could weaken for a while. We'll have to monitor that possibility over the next several days. But again, tropical storm Gonzalo could become a hurricane, then move into the Caribbean Sea this week, and perhaps weaken a little bit over the upcoming weekend while it's in the Caribbean Sea. We'll have to monitor there. There are some signs also that it could eventually get wrapped up into a trough moving into the eastern part of the U.S. So a lot going on in the Atlantic Basin. Well, let's get back to the continental U.S. This is the radar map for the nation from WSI's and telecast.com. A couple areas of interest here. First of all, notice there's a band of showers and maybe even an embedded rumble of thunder or two across eastern Pennsylvania, the Philadelphia suburbs, for example, up to Allentown. Some of that rain actually is coming down quite hard early this morning. But notice also some showers out here across western Pennsylvania throughout the eastern part of West Virginia. That is the area to monitor closely for the next several hours. And again, with any kind of sunshine during the midday and early afternoon hours, That would allow the atmosphere to destabilize, would increase the chances for some strong thunderstorm activity later today into early tonight, so we'll monitor that closely over the next several hours. Meanwhile, a lot of moisture over the Gulf of Mexico, partly as a result of the tropical depression that again is headed towards Texas and Louisiana, and it's likely to produce very heavy rainfall in those two states over the weekend and into the early part of next week. It's a slow-moving tropical system, and that increases the chance for some flooding rainfall. Well, here's a satellite imagery loop of the Mid-Atlantic region from College of DuPage weather website. And again, lots of clouds right now, and there certainly is the chance that the sun will break out during the midday, early afternoon hours, and that will be crucial in the possible formation of strong to severe thunderstorms later today. If it stays cloudy for a longer period of time, that'll cut down on the daytime heating, and that will cut down on the chances for strong thunderstorms later today. Notice a little scalloping to the clouds right here over southeastern Pennsylvania. That's actually quite a heavy shower with a couple of rumbles of thunder associated with it as well. That's moving across the Delaware River as we speak into the western part of New Jersey, and will continue to produce some heavy rainfall, brief heavy rainfall over the next hour or two. Lots of clouds out here over the western part of Pennsylvania, West Virginia. Notice also out here eastern West Virginia. This is pretty impressive looking. Some heavy rain out there, maybe embedded a rumble of thunder or two, and that is an area to watch over the next several hours. Well, let's take a look at last night's 6Z operational run of the GFS. We're looking at 500 millibar vorticity levels. These are the waves in the upper part of the atmosphere that kind of dictate what kind of upward motion, where the upward motion may be in the lower part of the atmosphere. The vorticity centers, or the areas of spin in the upper part of the atmosphere, are indicated on these maps by yellow and orange here. And we'll see as we go through the next 12 hours or so, there will be a wave of energy again, just like yesterday, moving over the I-95 corridor region. So let's push forward in time from Thursday morning, and here we are into the afternoon hours and then the evening hours. And notice here, little bit of energy showing up here on the GFS forecast map for this evening. That's about 8 p.m. tonight, this particular forecast map. So again, we'll have some upper level energy. That is one ingredient for the potential of strong to severe thunderstorms. However, daytime heating is another important factor. We'll see how much of this cloud cover that we have this morning actually breaks apart to allow for daytime heating. High temperatures this afternoon will be close to the 90-degree mark, most likely in D.C., Philadelphia, New York City. Not well up in the 90s like the last few days, so that too makes it a little bit less unstable compared to the what we experienced on Wednesday. Notice also kind of a larger scale upper level trough cutting through the northeastern part of the nation later on tonight. That will increase the chances for strong to severe thunderstorms up across New England late in the day and into the overnight hours. Now let's move forward here, and one thing that happens on Friday is a frontal system that approaches the region late today kind of tends to stall out on Friday, and that will continue the chance of showers and thunderstorms in the I-95 corridor region, and more likely just to the south and east of the I-95 corridor region, let's say across eastern suburbs of D.C., maybe Delmarva Peninsula, and southern part of New Jersey, maybe back into the I-95 corridor region. Nothing quite as widespread as what we had yesterday, probably not even as widespread as what should develop later on today. But once we get by the afternoon and evening hours on Friday, looks like a lot of that energy does push off to the south and east. And notice kind of a ridge aloft starting to expand into the mid-Atlantic, the northeast U.S. on Saturday. Rain chances are quite limited, if not completely non-existent for Saturday and Sunday in places like D.C., Philadelphia, New York City. And it should be slightly drier. This passage of the weak frontal system that will kind of stall out on Friday, eventually then drifts a little bit to the south and east by the weekend, should allow for some drier air to move in, to kind of filter in probably a noticeable improvement in the humidity levels by tomorrow night and on Saturday as well. It will still stay quite warm for Saturday afternoon and Sunday as well. Temperatures won't be far from 90 degrees in the I-95 corridor region on Saturday afternoon and again on Sunday afternoon, but a little bit less humidity will make it a little bit more comfortable for the upcoming weekend as compared with the last few days where we had excessive heat and humidity. Well, let's now walk through the surface forecast maps from the 6E GFS model run. First of all, point out here, this is the low pressure area, the tropical wave over the central part of the Gulf of Mexico. Again, heading in a general west to northwest direction, may reach tropical storm status. By the way, if it were to become a named tropical storm, it would be Hannah, and it will, whether or not it reaches tropical storm status, or it will still produce some heavy rainfall across parts of Texas and Louisiana, especially given the very slow movement of that system. Forecast map for this morning, again, some decent shower activity, maybe even a rumble of thunder or two across eastern Pennsylvania and western New Jersey over the next couple of hours. Let's move forward here, and here comes the approach of that frontal system by the early part of the afternoon, enhancing the shower and thunderstorm activity across the western mid-Atlantic, the Ohio Valley. Intensity and coverage will increase during the midday and early afternoon hours of those showers and thunderstorms. By this evening, GFS putting out some heavy rainfall in sections such as the south central part of Pennsylvania all the way through northern Maryland, northern Virginia, down into the southern part of Virginia. And again, a frontal system combined with some upper level energy, and you very well could have some strong to severe thunderstorm activity later today into early tonight, largely depending on how much heating we get during the midday and afternoon hours. The more the sunshine, the greater the chance for some strong to severe thunderstorm activity later today. Now, given the high humidity levels, heavy rainfall is possible with any of these showers or thunderstorms that form during the day and into the night. Now let's move forward here. Much of that activity pushes south and east in the overnight hours, and then we get into the day on Saturday, and it looks like we may be in the clear on Saturday with high pressure over the Great Lakes coming in by tomorrow morning, but not quite the case because that frontal system tends to just stall out along the I-95 corridor region, at least for a while on Friday. That will allow for some shower and thunderstorm activity to develop, especially along and to the south and east of the I-95 corridor region. Then that frontal system tends to drift to the south and east, and looks like noticeable improvement in the humidity levels probably arrives Friday night in the I-95 corridor region, and Saturday will be a less humid day compared to the recent high humidity type of days we've experienced here in the Mid-Atlantic region. Still very warm, maybe 90 degrees for the highs in the cities along the I-95 corridor region. Just an isolated shower or thunderstorm on both weekend days. For the most part, it looks like chances of rain over the upcoming weekend will be rather limited. This is the forecast map for Sunday morning. Now notice here at this time, high pressure does shift off the coast, and see this isobar pattern here out across the middle of the country and into the Great Lakes. On the backside of that high, winds tend to flow clockwise around high pressure and tend to flow parallel to these lines of equal pressure. In other words, southwesterly winds will be pumping in warmer and more humid air first into the Midwest and Great Lakes, and then by Monday and Tuesday back into the Mid-Atlantic region. The heat and humidity will build up. Now, right now, does not look like the heat that we'll experience during the early part of next week will match the heat of this week. Maybe 90 to 93 degrees for highs in the I-95 corridor region on Monday and Tuesday. There are a couple of weak frontal systems that will kind of help to prevent any kind of excessive heat, it looks like at the moment, for the early part of next week. So another day with the threat of strong thunderstorms in the I-95 corridor region later this afternoon into the evening hours, largely dependent on how much sunshine we get during the midday and afternoon, and a continuation of an active tropical scene in the Atlantic Basin, with one system over the Gulf of Mexico headed towards Texas and Louisiana, and Gonzalo very well could become the first hurricane of the still rather young Atlantic Basin tropical season on its way to the Caribbean Sea over the upcoming weekend. That's it for now. For PerspectiveWeather.com, I'm meteorologist Paul Dorian.